Hi and welcome to the We Need a Rose podcast, and this is Heavy David. In fact, this might be the most heavy episode in terms of long-awaited films and shows that have all hit around the same time in some while. We have a badass Comanche hunter in Dan Trachtenberg's new Predator film Prey, which has just dropped on Disney+. I boarded the bullet train the other week for Brad Pitt and Assassins on a Train shenanigans, and we've also been binging the long-awaited and some said unadaptable Netflix version of Neil Gaiman's classic graphic novel, The Sandman.
But you keep using that word heavy, man. What's the word? What's wrong with the Earth's gravitational pull? Is there something wrong with the Earth's gravitational pull? Something like that.
In the future?
It's something like that. I get it. Yeah. There's something wrong with the Earth, but it's not the gravitational pull.
And it's time to board the bullet train. But David, was I bored on this train? Did I stop and want to get off? Or did I thoroughly enjoy my trip around Japan with Brad Pitt and a train full of assassins? So, Bullet Train is from action director supreme David Leitch, co-director of the original John Wick and solo director of Atomic Blonde, Deadpool 2 and Hobbs & Shaw. Now, arguably, Leitch is one of the better action directors working in Hollywood today. Well, the original Bullet Train was a Japanese novel from 2010 written by, and forgive my Japanese pronunciations, Kotaro Isaka, about several hitmen on a bullet train, and each were on different missions, and they all kind of interconnected in some way. And that's pretty much still the plot of the film. Brad Pitt headlines as a former professional assassin codenamed Ladybug, who, in his opinion, is cursed with bad luck, and he's brought back in by his handler, Beetle, voiced by Sandra Bullock. So, once again, we have Bullock and Pitt after they both appeared in The Lost City early in the year. I think, David, this is the first step on the Lost City cinematic universe, because, why not?
Yeah, why not?
As I was saying, Beetle is voiced by Sandra Bullock, and she eases him back in with what should be a simple briefcase grab. Get on the train, grab the briefcase, get off at the next stop, right? Easy. Well, it's not that easy, otherwise we'd have a really boring and short film. So, Pitt soon encounters a whole host of other assassins on the train. Joey King's The Prince, a mercenary posing as a British schoolgirl. Aaron Taylor-Johnson and Brian Tyree Henry's English brother assassins, codenamed Tangerine and Lemon. Andrew Koji as Kimura, a man looking for the person who tried to kill his son. And they're pretty much your main characters. There are also smaller cameos from recording superstar and surprisingly decent pro wrestler Bad Bunny and Deadpool 2's Zazie Beetz as another couple of assassins. And you've also got an utter waste of the boy's female Karen Fukuhara as a thinly written train concession girl. Yes, David, her character doesn't even get a proper name. Now, obviously, everyone's missions interact with each other's, and this leads to many comic and over-the-top violent showdowns. And throughout the film, they edge closer and closer to the final station, where the big boss villain, the Wolf, played by the always excellent and scary Michael Shannon, is waiting for whoever's left alive. Now, for me, the film's VIP, hands down, is Aaron Taylor-Johnson's hilarious Tangerine, who looks, sounds and acts like he's just walked in from Lock, Stock, Snatch or any Guy Ritchie film. He's constantly acerbic and spars beautifully with Pitt's more laid-back and casual presence. And also, with his brother Lemon, played by Brian Tyree Henry, well, I've never seen a film, David, where a character has an obsession with Thomas the Tank Engine and keeps talking about Thomas the Tank Engine episodes as moments of zen and life lessons to be learned from.
You've never met my brother, have you?
Oh, really? So your brother is Lemon?
He's Lemon, yeah. Lemon with fish as well. Throw fish in there.
Lemon, okay. I don't
Just any kind of fish. As Kira mentioned, my little sister, he's got a weird obsession with fish. She's 9.
Bringing it back to the film, it does sound like a good idea and it sounds cute in theory, right? Oh yeah, Thomas the Tank Engine. But man, it gets really repetitive the more the film goes on. Now, I'm not going to get really into the logic of the film or the plot holes because the film doesn't really care about logic or plot holes either. It's essentially just Brad Pitt fighting his way through a train and for always some reason not being able to get off at the next stop, which he needs to. As I mentioned, the relationship between Aaron Taylor-Johnson's Tangerine and his brother Lemon, that gets better and better and more poignant as the film progresses. And we even get a flashback to the two of them as kids watching West Ham on TV. And I think if you're a West Ham fan, this will be your favourite film ever, purely because you get to hear the classic West Ham terrace song, I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles, in a big Hollywood action film.
Forever blowing bubbles in the air.
Is that how it goes?
They climb so high into the sky, and like my dreams they fade and die. I think it goes something like that. I'm not sure. It's quite a sad song, really.
The way you sang it was. I thought it was a bit more joy. That was horrific. That's going to give me nightmares now for years. However, I have some problems with Bullet Train, David. And this has been raised in quite a few reviews. And it is, why is 80% of the main cast Caucasian when a film is taking place in Japan? A lot of the code names stay the same, but it's obvious from the novel that the cast are almost all Asian. So indeed, there is a massive case of whitewashing here. Especially when you have a few token Japanese actors in it, such as Andrew Koji playing the father and the great Hiroyuki Sanada as the elder. Their storylines for me would have been better if they'd been the focus of the film, rather than Pitt's goofy, reluctant hitman. It's almost like the producers went, okay, do you know what? What Asian actors or known to American audience actors can we get in? Hey, remember Hero from Heroes? Let's get him in and give him almost nothing to do. Oh, who's a really cool Asian girl from The Boys? The excellent, as always, Karen Fukuhara. Let's give her scene that was as reductive as her appearance in the original shitty Suicide Squad film. So yes, terrible, terrible work here, Sony. And just bad on your lack of use of some great Asian action stars you're out there. Clearly, it's Sony not having confidence that they could get a bunch of top Asian actors in, and just do it. Did no one see how much money Shang-Chi made? It's doable, so it's a bit of a cop out here.
Yeah, to be fair, Shang-Chi had its Marvel tag to it, but like if you think of like The Raid or something like that.
It really annoyed me with Karen Fukuhara because, like, I remember everyone was going about how great she was, and then in the original Suicide Squad, she literally had fuck all to do. She then goes to The Boys, where she gets to play a brilliant character in the female, Kimiko, and then in this film, she's literally like, oh, it's literally like they haven't watched more than a couple of minutes of The Boys and just decided, oh yeah, she's the Asian action girl. So it was quite bad in that respect.
That might have just been the character that was cast and she got the job.
Yeah, but the character literally doesn't even have a name. The character is Train Concession Girl. That's literally what it says in the credits. And yeah, you're right. It could be just that's what the character is. And I get it's a weird one because I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to bring in recognisable Asian actors. I just wish they'd had the balls to be a bit more.
You want it to be authentic.
Authentic,
like more,
authentic with the casting.
Is the all the assassins like universal? Like if the like the ones like Lemon and Tangerine, are they from England? Like working for the MI5 or MI6 or whatever? And then
well, I won't say who they're working for because all the different assassins all have their different own. They all have their own reasons for being on the train, and all Andrew Koji's character, who's trying to find out. He's told someone who tried to murder your son is on the train, so he's on there to find that person. Oh,
right, so they're not all there for the briefcase.
They're all there for different reasons. Tangerine and Lemon are there to start off with because they need to find a Japanese mob boss's wayward son and bring him back home. So they're there to get him back safely. So yeah, there's lots of different stories, but then they all start interconnecting. And as I said, it's not just the Asian actors who get wasted. It's what about casting Michael Shannon, Zod himself, and then have him be barely recognisable and barely have more than one scene. And again, it almost stretches credulity a bit for me that you have a Japanese crime family and it's supposedly ruled by a Russian ex-soldier, which is Shannon's character. And again, I wonder, I don't know the original novel, but I wonder, is it higher ups at the studio decided that, we better not have a Japanese villain because it wouldn't look great having Brad Pitt killing a bunch of Japanese actors in Japan. Therefore, we'll have, who's the bad guy? It's Russians, right? Let's have a Russian bad guy. So I don't know the original novel and whether that's... Again, I was just like, why cast Michael Shannon? And he looks cool, but he doesn't really do a lot. He's not really in it for more than 5 minutes. And, that's a waste. It's a waste of Shannon, man, because he's a brilliant actor. So like I've said, some of the casting's a little bit off in this. Young American actress Joey King, she plays the prince. And it's weird, because she's supposed to be a schoolgirl, and yet she talks and acts like someone much older. For me, it's more a performance issue than I think a script issue with her. It's just the accent. It's just like... Okay, but why did you have to be British in it? It doesn't make any sense. Like, as the film progresses and as you learn more about her storyline, you're like, well, why would you be English? It doesn't make any sense at all. And also, like I say, you've got two American actors here having British accents. Yes, I'm looking at you, Joey King and Brian Tyree Henry. Now, they're not completely terrible, but why? I mean, when you've got Aaron Taylor-Johnson going full Guy Ritchie, and David, you never want to go full Guy Ritchie. About 60% is acceptable to most normal English people.
I've never been a big fan of Guy Ritchie and his films, like from the beginning. Lock, Stock, Snatch, which are his probably two biggest ones. I'm still like, nah.
We're pausing the Bullet Train review briefly because I have to go on my little... I think I've mentioned it before that I'm not a fan of Guy Ritchie. Yeah. Everyone, like you say, everyone says, Lock, Stock and Snatch are his two best films. Right, well, who was his producer on those films? Oh, it was... Come on, David, you know this.
I didn't really like them two, though, to be honest. I know I can't remember. You have told me before. You've said this entire thing before.
It's Matthew Vaughn, the director of Kingsman.
Oh, yes,
Kick-Ass and all
Matthew
that.
Vaughn, yeah.
And like I said, he started as his producer alongside him. And then as time went on, I think it's clearly been proven that Out of the two of them, he's clearly the better filmmaker. He's done more varied stuff. You know, he did Stardust, Kick-Ass, and Kingsman back to back. And he obviously made one of the best X-Men film as well, with X-Men First Class. His most recent Kingsman film was a bit shit. Guy Ritchie, no, sorry. I just hate him.
I'm not a big fan of his films either for some reason.
The worst film I think in the world would be Danny Dyer in a Guy Ritchie film. It would just be like, that would be
I don't know how Danny Dyer is an actor, to be honest. How did he become an actor?
I actually just talked at someone and they said, okay, you got the job, just stop talking at me, your voice is so annoying. Actually, it's funny, man. One of the best, you know, the familiar thing, like Mark Kermode took the piss out of him on one of his Radio 5 film shows years ago, and he's like, Danny Dyer threatened to beat him up in public. So, you know, that's the.
Maybe we shouldn't. I've always liked Danny Dyer, man. He's been a great guy. Yeah, he's my best. You know what? If I could ever get a film made, he'd be my first one to call. Big fan. Don't beat me up, please.
For craft services or to carry equipment.
He could as bodyguard.
What? But how can he be the bodyguard if he's the guy you got to be a bodyguard from? He's got to be the bodyguard from.
That's how you do it. That's how you keep your enemies close.
Employ the person who wants to beat you up for saying they're a terrible actor, and employ him not as an actor. I see a flaw in your plan here, David. I see a flaw. Overall, for me, this is a good but not great film. It doesn't have too many memorable set pieces, owing to the film taking place pretty much in all the one location. Heavily CGI'd location. Now, Brad Pitt's easygoing demeanour works great as a guy who really doesn't want to kill and just wants to be a better person. He's seeing his shrink, and he doesn't want this job to pull him back into old habits. That's why he's just there on a simple grab a suitcase and get out. The film's tone is definitely comic and hyper-stylised, and which is why when it tries to be a little bit sincere and dramatic later on, I think it falls flat, because the earlier tone of the film is just so out there and crazy. It jars. It almost feels like you're watching someone play an old Capcom side-scrolling beat-em-up than a narrative movie. Bullet Train is the definition of a 3-star movie for me. You'll have a good time and you'll enjoy Pitt and Taylor Johnson's performances. You've got some good action and comedic moments in there, but there's also a ton of missed opportunities along the way. So I would say it's a thoroughly middle-of-the-road action film. You'll enjoy it, and then you'll completely forget about it once the credits have rolled.
Okay, give me a star rating, Neil.
3 out of 5.
Okay, wow. Okay, no, I thought we were doing out of 10. Sorry, I thought it was fucking hell, 3 out of 10. You really hated it.
It'd be a 6 out of 10.
Okay, so okay, fair enough. That's quite disappointing. I was quite looking forward to this film. I haven't seen it, and the only thing that I was worried about going in is that the trailer gave too much of it away, because there's clearly a scene in the trailer which is at the end of the film where Brad Pitt's sitting there after something's caught fire, and he's there just yep. That happened. That's clearly at the end of the film. So after he's been beaten up and stuff. Or it could have been at the beginning of the film, and it's a previous...
Could have been a flashback. Could have been that.
Yeah, but it felt like it was at the beginning. At the end.
It's a perfectly fine film, right? I'm not saying it's a bad film in any way. It kind of reminds me, like we said, we had The Grey Man recently, didn't we? And again, it was good, but not great. And it's not a problem, right? It's a fun action comedy. But it doesn't... Given the people in its pedigree, I think it should be better. Aaron Taylor Johnson is absolutely brilliant in it. He steals the film. He's just so doesn't give a shit about anyone, and his dialogue and delivery is just brilliant. He's just really good. He's just, I don't know. Apparently there was a rumour that Sony, who obviously made this film, they were so impressed by his performance in it. That's what led them to cast him as the lead in the Spider-Man spin-off, Kraven the Hunter. But that's a whole other can of worms there, because Kraven the Hunter's just a bit of a problematic comic book character to bring to the screen in the modern day. So, next up, David, we are going to talk about Prey.
Oh, yes, I've seen this film. Sorry. I hadn't seen Bullet Train. So now I can be yes, I can say things.
You can say things about stuff and stuff in things.
And all of that jazz.
Well, next up, as we say, is the new Predator movie, Prey, which comes to us on Disney+. So, honestly, any worries about Disney Plus content being watered down are immediately impaled and ripped apart with Dan Trachtenberg's new film. And now this is his second film, his first since his debut, which was the excellent 10 Cloverfield Lane, although he has kept busy directing some episodes of the excellent TV show The Boys as well. Not The Boys as well, just The Boys. Now, it's agreed that the Predator films did start out at a high and gradually got worse and worse. Predator 1 is, of course, a masterpiece that rips the living piss out of guns and male machismo.
Okay, and no, I want to admit something here to you.
You haven't seen Predator 1, have you?
Or Predator 2. But for some reason, I've seen every other Predator outside of that. I've just not seen the first. I've never seen the original Predator, and I've not seen Predator 2.
You're a fucking heathen.
I know, but they're on Disney Plus, and I will watch them.
Yes, you should, man. You should most definitely watch them. One is a masterpiece, man. Because, like I say, it rips the living piss out of like guns and male machismo. And in fact, if you want a bit more of a deep dive on it, there is a great interview with the Predator director John McTiernan on a recent episode of the Empire podcast. It's definitely worth checking out. I mean, this guy also directed Die Hard, so fucking listen to him, right? And it was really good. And he was saying about how they wanted more guns in the film. So he just wanted to get on with the story. And so there's a big scene in the original Predator where they just all fire their guns off into the the forest at nothing for about 5 minutes. And it's just so ridiculous. And he just did it. And like the studio guy, he was saying like the studio guy had this weird fetishization with guns. He's like, yes, more guns.
All the guns. If you can't have Arnold Schwarzenegger in something without having guns, well, come on.
They literally, that was like the guy from the studios. No, he needs more guns, and you need to show the guns, and like it basically got a bit sexual and weird. And McTiernan was like, yeah, fuck this guy. So he just did a scene that took the piss out of it, and that's what makes the original Predator so good. Is that people enjoy it on the surface? That it's macho guys in the jungle shooting everything and trying to kill everything, and it's also got that extra clever layer to it where people are like, yeah, but they're actually really bad at what they're doing, and they're all getting slaughtered. So perhaps guns and being like hoo-ha isn't the best thing. Well, I was going to say that when I saw Bullet Train, the cinema was about a fifth full. There was like about maybe 10 people in there for Bullet Train. And of course, that was a couple of Fridays ago. And what came out the same day as Bullet Train? Prey did. So I even said to the cinema staff, I was like, I guess everyone's staying home to watch a new Predator film, right? And they pretty much nodded. Now, Predator 2 at the time was pretty much slated, but I think there is much more love now for Danny Glover as a cop taking on predators in the urban jungle of LA. It's got that brilliant opening shot where you're like coming over the trees and then you see LA revealed.
Out. Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's spectacularly violent. There's lots of spine ripping in it, and it does hold up quite well. I like the idea. It's like, okay, put predators in the city now. It was a decade-long wait for 2010's Predators.
Didn't we have Alien versus Predator?
I am ignoring those. I'm ignoring them because they're terrible and not canon. They made the Alien films worse. They made the Predator... Because, like...
I've seen both Alien versus Predator and Alien, the second one, whatever it's called.
But not Predator 1 or Predator 2. Requiem,
okay.
See, well, here's a problem, right? The reason the Alien Predator films didn't work is they have to put stupid human characters in it. Imagine if you'd made a full-on, balls-to-the-wall action film with no dialogue, and it's just predators hunting aliens. That would have been amazing, and people would have loved it. And yeah. I kind of think that Prey is a step in that direction, which we'll get into in a little while.
Is it not canon, then? Because in this rabbit hole I went down of all the different types of predators,
right,
it became quite... they were, talking about the alien aspect of it, and the xenomorphs being a part of rituals into turning into a manhood for the predator clan or whatever the species.
Yeah, but was that mentioned in any other like alien or predator film other than just the Alien versus Predator films?
Well, they don't really talk, so
they don't give.
It's not like they give like really long, nice
monologues.
Yeah. Of what's going on, like exposition's not really there with them, is it?
Well, look, after Predator 2, we had a decade wait for 2010's Predators, which was directed by the brilliantly named Nimrod Antal. And it was co-written by Robert Rodriguez, who was at one point down to direct, which I would have liked to have seen back then. And it starred, it says Alien Brody, so clearly my autocorrect's gone wrong there. Adrian Brody, Topher Grace, Alice Braga, Walt Goggins, and Lawrence Fishburne, as soldiers and mercenaries who find themselves in a jungle where they are there to be hunted by the predators who've chosen them for sport. And you know what? It wasn't that bad. It was a decent enough film. It had, again, changed the location. It seems to be the thing with the better Predator sequels is you take a Predator and drop it into a different location or time. So, like you say, Predator 2 takes them from the jungle into downtown Los Angeles.
Predators sort of takes it back to its roots with the jungle again, doesn't it? But it's its own planet, isn't it? It's a hunting planet. With some links into Prey as well in Predators, because humans weren't just the only thing that the predators were hunting in that film, were they? Mm-hmm. They were also hunting the river ghost species of alien, which is what the Predator in the Prey film used as its mask.
Ah, I did not know that.
Yeah, the mask in it, because I recognised it, and then I went on IMDb, and it was the first trivia thing on IMDb. So I was just like, oh, okay, handy. Yeah, so the river ghost species that was in Predators is what the mask is used in Prey.
Check out David with the film facts. We need a new jingle made that just goes, David's film facts, or something like that. 2010's Predators was pretty decent, actually. It's just, I don't think it lived long in the memory.
It was all right, yeah.
Yeah, it was fine. It was a 3-star, perfectly acceptable action film.
Yeah, exactly.
Just like Bullet Train, but but Bullet Train had less predators in it. Would it made it better? Maybe. But what truly was terrible was The Predator, written and directed by Predator OG writer Shane Black, and he obviously wrote the original with Fred Decker, but he also wrote and directed this one in 2018. Which stars, and how's this for a link to our next show, David, which I didn't realise, the Corinthian Boyd Holbrook. And I'm guessing that's why the Corinthian has no eyes, because he never wanted to see this film again. Despite a great cast, and it really did have a decent cast, the action and story were just utter dog shit. And there was so much offset controversy as well. So director Black employed a friend of his in a minor role that was a convicted sex offender, and didn't tell the rest of the cast. And worse than that, the role he gives the guy is creepy guy who hits on the lead actress of the film, played by Olivia Munn. Now, obviously, when she found out about this, she wasn't too happy and got this guy's scenes cut from the film. If you think, okay, casting a convicted sex offender and not telling your crew and cast is enough, no, they had a terribly misjudged side plot about an autistic kid in it, which was just absolutely terrible as well. I mean, there's not many films that have no redeeming features. This is one of those rare films where I was actually getting angry at how bad it was while I was watching it.
It was one of those. I've seen this film, but honest to God, I think I've just blanked it from my memory because I can't remember any plot points, anything. I had to watch the trailer again to be like, no, I have definitely seen this film. I just must have just wiped it from my memory. I remember Alien vs Predator a hell of a lot more than I remember this film.
At least Alien vs Predator had a good tagline: "Whoever wins, we lose." So when word came out that a new Predator film was in the works and it was going to pit a group of Native Americans in 1719 against a Predator, everyone mostly laughed and was like, well, that's a fucking terrible idea. How are people with bows and arrows going to fight invisible aliens with claws and rocket launchers? No, that's stupid. Doesn't make any sense. Ugh. Well, writer Patrick Eisen and director Dan Trachtenberg, they know how. Our hero is young Naru, a Comanche warrior played by Amber Midthunder in a star-making turn, and it's such a simple story. A predator drops down to Earth, and it begins hunting small animals to bigger and bigger prey. Now, the best comment I've read online, and I'm sorry, I can't remember where I read it, is that this film is essentially The Revenant, but with a predator. And what a film. Yeah, honestly, by going back to basics, Trachtenberg has easily made the best Predator film since the original, and in some ways, many reviewers think Prey is actually better than the original. Now, the film gains massive points for having a full indigenous cast, which is great, and that the film was also shot in a fully Comanche dub, which is brilliant for representation, and that will be the way I watch the film on my rewatch. If you read stupid comments online, there in fact is a meme that says, I don't know if you've seen this, it says, a team full of the best mercenaries can't beat a Predator, but a girl beats one by herself. Bullshit, or something like that. Well, it just goes to show you how good Midthunder's performance is in this film and how good the story and direction of Trachtenberg is, that she absolutely makes you believe by the end of the film she could take down a Predator. Honestly, man, if the studios don't look at this performance and go, well, she's a fucking superstar in the waiting, well, actually, studios, man, I mean, after all, Batgirl recently, so I guess nothing's for certain, but...
What are you talking about? What's going on? What's happening here?
No, I'm talking about the fact that this girl should be a superstar after this film, right? Like,
yeah, she was awesome. She was badass. She was. Like, we're talking about Amber Midhunter, right? What a name as well. Like, what a name.
Midthunder, not Hunter.
The Midthunder. Sorry, yeah. What a name that is. I'm totally stealing that Midthunder surname for a D&D character.
It's great that you're starting to get proper Native American representation. I mean, we're two white British guys, so we don't really know a lot about Native Americans, to be honest. Let's be honest. You know, we're not taught really much about it over here when we were at school.
Yeah, like the only thing that we get like exposed to is something like Pocahontas or something ridiculous like that, you know, and then it's just other media where we're seeing what the culture and representation is of Native Americans, because we don't because like you said, we don't get taught it. So the only thing that we do see and absorb is any sort of representation from films like this.
Getting to films like this, I mean, if you look in the past, I think growing up, whenever you saw a Native American character in the films, they were usually the baddies in the westerns, or they were the healer characters, like the side characters. They were never given, and again, like I say, all these films were directed by white people. So how authentic can you really tell a story of the Native Americans when you've not actually got Native Americans making them? But great thing is we're actually on that road now. I mean, one of my favourite shows of the year that's just come back in the States that we're still waiting for in the UK is Reservation Dogs on Disney+. Did you ever get around to watching the first series of that show?
No.
It's very good, man. It's very good. I mean, the amount of... Yeah, again, it's a similar thing. Taika Waititi helped get it made. I think he's like listed as co-curator, but the main guy, Sterling Harjo, is kind of the creator of the show. So I think Taika kind of helped him get it. You know, he said, no, you want to make this guy's show. I'm Taika Waititi. I have all the money. And then they funded it. And it's just brilliant, man. Just about these 4 slacker kids on like an Indian reserve. And it's so good, man.
No, it is awesome that there's more representation within cinema, because like the only other, like The Last of the Mohicans comes to mind. And I love Daniel Day-Lewis. I think he's a fucking fantastic actor. But ultimately, they cast a white man as the lead actor in a film majoritively about Native Americans, or like the whole thing's pretty much about Native Americans. And I understand that it's all about him being integrated into their society and culture and everything like that. But it's that could have equally have been done from a different tribe, another man from a different tribe's coming in or something like that, and it's all Native American, and it could have been done that way, you know. Same with this isn't Native Americans, but it's the same with The Last Samurai and
good. And Tom Cruise, The Last Samurai.
Yeah, it's the same.
Or Matt Damon in The Great Wall.
Exactly. You know, it's all the same thing where you've got this white American or English in Daniel Day-Lewis's case as lead actor.
It's funny, isn't it? We've kind of gotten to the subject of race today. Like we said, the lack of representation of Japanese characters in a film set in Japan. And then how they've not really done a good job over there, but how in Prey they've just gone fully indigenous, and you know, why? Of course you should. Yeah, it just works, man. Like I said, I can't wait to rewatch it in the Comanche, in like the original, just to see.
Oh no! So again, it's awesome though, because with films like Prey and films like Nomadland, to an extent, whilst I realise Frances McDermott is Frances McDermott. Is the lead, but she embraces herself and she surrounds herself with and there's a lot of decent positive representation of Native American historical, like Native American roots and everything that's planted throughout the film.
That is the thing, that now we are getting Native American stories told by Native American filmmakers and Native American actors in the leads in their own stories.
Yes.
And like not like you, exactly like you just said, in like you've got a white actor being the lead of the film, and it's about their culture and how they adapt to their culture. Yeah. Even with Dances with Wolves was the same thing, wasn't it? It was
exactly. Kevin Costner. Yeah.
Here you're getting their stories without the outside influence, which is great. And you know, that's how we learn more about these other cultures, by watching films that are genuinely about them. Well, we got deep there, man. We got deep on the race card. So I think what makes Prey work is just the simplicity of the story, right? It's Naru is a healer / gatherer, and she wants to become a hunter. But again, and that's again what this film does, is the men in her tribe and her own mother want her to be a healer. So already she's fighting against gender stereotypes within her own culture, and a predator in the same film. The film is beautifully shot, and where else but up in Canada, and Trachtenberg crafts some amazing animal set pieces. There's so many brilliant action scenes in this film. Prey is an efficient film as well. It runs only 100 minutes, and like a predator skinning its prey, there is absolutely no fat to trim on this film. Now, originally, Trachtenberg wanted the film's links to the Predator franchise kept secret, but of course he was overruled by the studios. Now, can you imagine going into this film thinking it was about a young Native American warrior girl, and then a fucking predator appears in it? That would have been wild, man.
Yeah, when that Thunderbird turns up and everyone's just like, oh shit.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't. Some people would have got it from that, and some people wouldn't have got it from that. It was like, oh, I guess they're aliens in it.
You hear the sound that the predator makes first, and then that camouflage come into it. Oh,
yeah, once you see the shimmer of the camouflage, if you haven't got it then I guess you haven't watched a Predator film before. And the thing is, though, I actually do get the studio's point of view in this. They want people to know it's part of the franchise, right? Do you know what, though? I think if you've never seen a Predator film before, and to be honest, David, you haven't watched a proper Predator film yet, having not seen the first two, then you're going to love this anyway. It's simple. A girl wants to become a hunter who comes up against the ultimate hunter, and they stalk each other. It's so simple. Now, it's been a massive hit on streaming with pretty much everyone saying Hulu and 20th Century have missed a massive trick here by not releasing it in the cinemas. I mean, we've had nothing for a few weeks in the UK after Top Gun and For Love and Thunder. There was just a whole raft of kids' films because it's a school summer holidays over here. And For Love and Thunder and Top Gun are still on over here while we were waiting for Bullet Train and Nope to come out. So, you could have put Prey on and it would have been a big hit. I'm 100% sure of that.
Yeah, good point. There was a decent gap there for it. But I suppose... I don't know. Well, it wasn't. It's not. You can't watch it. It's not on Disney Plus, is it? In America, is it on Hulu?
It's on Hulu.
Yeah,
which is we don't have in this country because of different things. So most of the Hulu content comes to us on Star on Disney Plus, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Because they're all connected at some level. So yeah, I'm not even getting into the whole corporate bollocks of it all.
But it would have been great if there was at least some sort of cinematic release for it. Maybe only a couple weeks, or it had it for a week out before it hit Disney Plus. Something like that,
People are already demanding you've got to release it on a physical format. I mean, who would not want to see a 4K release of this masterpiece, man?
Yeah, that's true. Because like you said, it's like it is like The Revenant with a
Predator.
Yeah.
The Prevenant. The Revdator.
Yeah, because the cinematography in it, throughout, is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's an amazing looking film. And like I say, it's just nice to watch it's just nice to watch a film that's 100 minutes for a change. Like I said, there's no fat on the bones of this film. It's exactly what it needs to be. It's simple. And this is where, kind of getting back to the point from earlier, where the Alien versus Predator films went wrong, right? There's not a whole ton of dialogue in this film because you don't need it. It's her trying to survive the Predator and then her trying to hunt the Predator. It's the Predator trying to hunt her and other people and other animals and things, And you don't need other characters in it. You don't need stupid dialogue in it. Every scene leads perfectly into the next scene. The script is massively tight in it. And that's what you wanted in the Aliens versus Predator films. You wanted aliens versus predators. You didn't want, oh no, we need to throw a bunch of humans in to be massacred horrifically and then one of them to survive. Because that's not what we wanted to see. We wanted, if they'd had the balls to do, I don't know, an hour 40 film with predators being dropped on a planet full of aliens and just trying to kill aliens, but with no dialogue, that would make all the fucking money and people would call it a masterpiece these days. I think there's a bit more, I think in the modern day now, people will be a bit more open to a film like that, but that's what we want to see. We want to see it. You don't have to have human characters in it. This whole, but no, people won't know who to identify with and you need someone in the cast. Not when it's such two iconic characters from two massive franchises like the Aliens and the Predator. That's it. I wondered in this one, was the Predator, because we weren't 100% sure on it, was it a young Predator just there to do a bit of like training? Yeah,
so I did a bit of a deep dive into all the different types of predators. So this Predator is, I think, meant to be one that's called an unblooded predator.
I think the most dangerous predator species that I've read about recent days is called the Dane Cook.
The what?
Google Dane Cook afterwards, mate, and then you'll see that he definitely is a predator.
Okay. But anyway, the predator that's around in Prey is an unblooded, which is essentially because they're all the species are called Yatijas. Yatija? Something, I don't know. I'm sure people out there will know what I'm on about. But and essentially, this is a young Yatija who hasn't completed its like basic training, and they're unblooded, they're untested, and the reason why he was there is to hunt and fight and like go up the rank because the Predator Society is like a clan. And it's basically just going up the ladder within its own clan through hunting, because that's the sport.
So essentially at the start of this film, this is the Predator everyone's taking a piss off, like, go on mate, you haven't even killed a bloody snake yet.
So this is that Predator that no one gives a shit. He's not like that Predator. He's not the Predator from like Predator, which is just a normal blooded or young blood Predator. Yeah, this is a so there's quite a few of them. So there's unblooded. There's one called young blood, blooded, elite, leader, elder, ancient, matriarch, and that's it.
But here's the thing, all this lore, was it explained in any of the Alien vs Predator films?
I'm not sure. I think there are like references to them because in some of them, in Alien versus Predator, there's I think the second one. There's that massive giant predator, and in one of the other like the younger predators, the blooded predator, needs to take on like that ancient predator because it's huge.
When you research, you find out about this stuff. You're not told this stuff, so clearly the scriptwriters and directors of the previous films don't think it's important enough to tell us about.
Yeah, I suppose not. Yeah, I suppose not. Because also with the Predator in Prey, a lot of its technology is, I don't know if you noticed it, we're comparing it to the original Predator, or I've only got it to compare to the other Predators, is that its technology is a lot more less advanced. It might be because it's taking place in the past, but like its active camouflage is clearly not as advanced as previously, and it's got like its HUD, like where it can seize heat, where it, you know, sees all the heat signals, isn't as advanced as previous ones. So there's like these little things where technology for him isn't as advanced. So is that because it's unblooded and it hasn't like been given the rank of having this equipment, or is it because of
it's 300 years before the original?
Yeah, it taking place in the past, so technology for them hasn't evolved to the point where it should have. But which makes me laugh. Can you imagine a Predator just being there, like working on its little technology? You know, being there, like trying to work out, in the workshop, working on tech.
I think I've seen that exact sketch in Family Guy once.
Have you seen a sketch in Family Guy?
I'm sure that I've seen animated comedy sketches somewhere of Predators just doing like day-to-day business and
like
stuff.
working on their technology in the lab. Like
that's kind of what we were talking about yesterday. Was that there's so many threads online now where people are like, where else could you drop Predators? Could you drop them at sea in pirate days? Pirates versus Predators. What about dropping them into Japan in the samurai days? Samurais versus Predators. Samurais would do a lot better because they got swords. They could just lop stuff off, man.
Yeah, where do you finish with it? Where does it go? Where do you end? Predator versus dinosaurs. I want a Predator versus a Velociraptor and versus T-Rex. Let's go.
You heard it here first, folks. Predators versus Jurassic Predator.
Yeah, Predator Park. Before we move on with this, did you watch no spoilers, but did you watch the end credits?
I did not watch it all, and apparently I missed something on the credits.
So, exactly.
Please tell me what was on the credits.
So, no, I won't tell anyone because it's a spoiler. But the credits basically show the entire film again, but all within the a credit sequence.
Cave paintings.
And all within sort of, native paintings. But at the end, you see the end scene, and then there's another scene afterwards, which is depicted in this credit scene, which is very important. Changes the ending, essentially.
Right, so I think Predator, it's a simple one here. It's a 5 out of 5 for me.
I give it I don't know if I give it a 5 out of 5. Maybe like a 4.5, maybe like a really close. Because it's not a 10 out of 10 film, maybe like a 9. A 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10. Yeah, 9 out of 10.
I'd go a 9 out of 10, definitely. And finally today, we have the long echo awaited arrival of Netflix's adaptation of Neil Gaiman's magnum opus, The Sandman. For years, they said it was unadaptable, yet Netflix and Gaiman himself have finally done it, as the first 10-episode season has just dropped on Netflix, which encompasses the first 2 issues of the graphic novel Preludes and Nocturnes and The Doll's House. Now, even at work in the office, when I've been trying to describe to people what the Sandman is, it's proved problematic. So, in layman's terms, the Sandman is an epic story about a being called Dream, or Morpheus, who is a king of dreams and nightmares. He is a being who is one of 7, along with his siblings, death, destiny, desire, delirium, despair, and destruction. But as you'll find out as the series goes on, Dream is not always the main character in the story, and almost floats around etherically at the edges of his own story, which can be slightly discombobulating for the average TV viewer. David, did you find yourself discombobulated as someone who has not read the comics and had little knowledge of the story?
No, I didn't. There's a good reason for that. It's because what I think Neil Gaiman does really well is use story arcs that are all historical in some way. So, like Morpheus and the whole aspect of being dreams and and his brothers and sisters, it's all from some sort of historical religion or theology or something, historical. Combines a bunch of them, mixes them together, and then builds a story around it. So you're never really lost as to what's going on within the plot because it's all based around some sort of, because Morpheus is the god of dreams, but that's from something. I'm trying to find out what that's from. Roman mythology. It's from Roman mythology. So it's all, it's all taken from mythology or historical mythology, most people would probably know about in some capacity, even if it's only a very basic capacity. So he builds upon that, and that's what's really clever. So he just builds this world, but based on stuff that are mythologies, and mixes them up, puts some like sparkle in there, and creates a very good story out of it.
Well said, my friend. Well said. I mean, yeah, we're going to get into minor spoilers, so we're not going to give away big plot points, but we kind of give a. What episode are you up to now? Because I've obviously binged the whole thing.
I'm up to 5, so I haven't seen... The last episode I watched was called 24/7, which is the...
Which was the diner episode.
Yeah.
This is your spoiler alert.
Yeah, for example, I think, like you say, the world building the show has to do is absolutely epic on scale. And what the first 3 episodes do is they deal with the basic setup of the show, which is Dream being accidentally captured by amateur cultist Roderick Burgess, played by the indomitable Charles Dance, and being robbed of his magic items, his helm, his sand, his ruby. Now, after he gets free, he's been trapped there for almost a century, and the first 3 episodes kind of involve Dream on a standard quest storyline to recover his lost items. Dream is played by relative unknown actor Tom Sturridge, and he plays the role of Dream superbly. Visually, he looks like Robert Smith from The Cure and every long coat wearing emo goth kid. He looks slight, but he does have a very slow, powerful, commanding voice. Gaiman did say in a recent interview that his measured way of speaking is because he already knows the answers to everything, and he's just considering what he's saying before he says it. You get the cream of British acting talent with Jolie Richardson, David Thewlis, and Jenna Coleman all turning up in early episodes, before the spectacular introduction of Game of Thrones' Gwendolyn Christie as Lucifer Morningstar in an absolutely amazing episode, Setting Hell, which is episode 4. We also follow one of Morpheus's nightmares that has kept escaping from the dream realm and killing humans in the real world, called the Corinthian. And he is played by actor Boyd Holbrook, who is easily a career highlight. And when Morpheus gets trapped in the first episode by Burgess, it leaves the Corinthian free to kill at will and plan for the day when he knows Morpheus was eventually going to return. Now, what makes this adaptation one of the best I've seen is that the show arguably gets better each episode. Although it does get a little bit jarring around episode 7 when it switches comic books from one sort of series to the next. Now, as I've mentioned, episodes 1 to 4 are Morpheus's quest to regain his magic items, and as I've said, you get many great actors introduced along the way. You get, and where you mentioned about like kind of classic historical characters and literary characters,
Yeah.
and different stuff like that, you get Cain and Abel in it, and immediately people are like, wait, Cain and Abel, that Cain and Abel, and yes, it is that Cain and Abel. They just happen to have a lovely little CGI gargoyle called Gregory as well.
Sorry, is that a spoiler?
That's a spoiler. Yeah,
Sorry.
definitely a spoiler. You've got Jenna Coleman being so good in a gender-flipped role as Joanna Constantine instead of John Constantine that Gaiman himself has already said she should just have her own spin-off and do her own version of Constantine. Now, the funny thing with Constantine is they've been trying to do it properly for years. I mean, you had the Keanu Reeves film, which is fine. It's not really Constantine because, you know, Constantine's English, Scouse, and it's very British in a lot of the storylines in it. I've got a few of the classic Hellblazer comics that I've read, and they are really, really good, but they are inherently English. And the Keanu Reeves film, as good as it was, didn't really do that. But then you had Matt Ryan, who had the short-lived show. I forget what network it was on, but they did an adaptation of Constantine, and he was very good. But then when that show was cancelled, that version of Constantine was folded into the Legends of Tomorrow show, which didn't really work because that's kind of a comedy superhero show, and Constantine's like a dark, tortured soul. But it was funny actually, because what makes me laugh is everyone who was complaining about the gender flip is, right, in the comics, Constantine is bisexual. So Jenna Coleman's character in it is bisexual. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. And she's so good in the role. And the fact that there is a whole nother raft of classic comic book storylines just waiting there, Netflix would be insane not to immediately commission the spin-off for the Constantine show with Coleman playing her right now, because that would just be brilliant. For me, the show becomes transcendently good. It's episode 5, which is the bottle episode set in a diner, where the patrons are put through some really horrific shit by David Thewlis playing the problematic John Dee. Now, you're up to episode 5 now, David. The next episode, and this is kind of minor, is we're introduced to one of Dream's siblings, Death, played beautifully by Kirby Hal Baptiste. And it's just a really beautiful episode that deals with death head on. And again, Baptiste's performance is so luminous, it should immediately put to bed any complaints that she doesn't look like her comic book counterpart, you racists. Gaiman had said that as they are all godlike beings, they literally can appear however they like, meaning the show could do colourblind casting, and indeed, all the cast are so good in this show that I challenge anyone to say the casting isn't spot on. It's truly what great TV and film should be, in that the best actor got the best part for the role, no matter what they look like. And I cannot wait to see more of Mason Alexander Park's character, Desire, who manoeuvres in the background through season 1. We're definitely going to see a bigger presence of them in the upcoming seasons. And the last 4 episodes of the season kind of cover the Doll's House storyline from the comics, which brings the Corinthian back to the centre of the story, and we're introduced to a new character called Rose Walker and her family. What I will say is, if you are struggling with the first few episodes, please stick with it, because the show has to do a lot of world building, and it's quite a flighty concept to explain. You know, you say to someone, "Oh, it's a show about a guy who's a Lord of the Drinks." Oh, it sounds like a bunch of wank, bruv. You know, it's very hard to explain to people competently, I find. What it is, though, it is one of the best graphic novels of all time, purely on how it, like you say, it brings in all historical, classical stories, and in some ways, it's a show about classic stories.
To begin with as well, that it with the basic story of a quest line where you just got to go get 3 items. It's a very easy to understand story, but built in this world which is slightly more complicated to understand, with all the mythological aspects of it rolled into one. And so for me, like, those early episodes were the best ones, because it built that story up really, really well over that, with that basic quest line. And the first episode was for me, so far, it's been one of the best ones. It grips you straight away.
Well, see, for me, that's what makes the show great. See, I think the show gets better because once it's done the groundwork and established how the universe works, who the characters are, the show's then got the confidence to be like, right, you know all these brilliant characters we've introduced you to in all the early episodes, like the Devil, like Constantine, you're not going to see him again this season. And we're going to just move on to someone else's story and someone else's story. And that's what the show essentially is. It's different vignette stories. It's almost like an anthology show with Morpheus and his family as the overarching manipulators of the thread of humanity and the storyline that goes with it. So, like I say, when you get to episodes 5 and 6, episode 5 is a John Dee episode. Episode 6 is learning about Death, Dream's older sister. And then we get the last 4 episodes of the season, which is another self-contained arc from the comic books called The Doll's House. I love that the show keeps the inherent Britishness to the comics, despite Jenna Coleman being English and having an English accent that sounds like Guy Ritchie's Syndrome again. Gwendolyn Christopher's Lucifer is brilliant with a visual striking design. She's dressed all in white with angelic features and blonde hair, which is really a representation of Satan you don't ever see. Of course, she's got a giant pair of black wings, and she has a great scene-stealing episode as she battles Dream, and you think, oh, battle in hell versus devil, yeah. But it's a more metaphysical battle. It's a battle of wits and ideas and ideologies. And, oh man, what a vision of hell we see. It's almost like if Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey actually had a budget. I would say that my one slight issue with the show is that even I was thrown with the introduction of the Doll's House storyline in episode 7, because it introduces so many new characters and plot lines that I was like, wait a minute, what happened to all these characters that you've introduced that I really like? When am I going to see them again? But the show's got enough confidence in what it does that the Doll's House storyline takes us to the end of the season. Now, visually, the show is stunning, and I honestly think it's one of the best looking shows I've seen this year, with a great mix of CGI and practical locations, and quite a few recognisable practical locations, you would say, David.
Yeah, mate. Me and Natasha, when we've been watching it, we've been playing Guess the Location, because because it's all filmed in Kent and Surrey and London. A lot of it is filmed in Kent, Surrey, and London. So, where Cain and Abel are, for instance, was Scotney Castle. Mm-hmm. So that was instantly recognisable as Scotney Castle. There's Greenwich, I think, makes an appearance in there. There's the Guildford Cathedral.
Yeah, the Greenwich is it the Greenwich shipyards? That's quite a popular filming location these days.
I think it's the Greenwich is in the where Jenna Coleman was. I'm pretty sure that was Greenwich. I'm not sure, but there's Guildford Cathedral. Is I'm like a good 90%. That's Dream's Palace. Is that cathedral? The house as well is we've been to that house. It's a massive manor somewhere in Sussex, I think. But so basically watching the film, being from similar area to where it's we're just playing fucking Guess the Location, which has been quite fun. You know, like half of it's been in, you know, where we live, but a lot of it is what's the Naval College in Greenwich. That's it.
Naval College. That's the one I meant.
Yeah, Canary Wharf is in it as well. That park in the when you just get off the tube in Canary Wharf, and then there's a little park there with like a little fountain and stuff.
And this has been David's set guide.
Anyway,
Sandman.
I'll get off of that. But talking about the depiction of hell, like, yeah, it was fantastic and beautiful. But that sort of moment where there's a battle of wits that you mentioned, I was a bit like, what the fuck is going on here? And then I did the end. I'm not going to spoil it, but the end, the thing that finished it, didn't make any fucking sense because beforehand it can't exist because of the one beforehand, and it escalated really quickly. Why not just fucking start with the big one? Why start with such small scale stuff like, oh, a worm is doing this, and then go into planetary destruction? You know, like.
I mean, David, like, to be fair, I think everyone loves a bit of planetary destruction. I think we've just got the name of our band, haven't we?
Planetary Destruction. That's a good band, man.
We could guest star in the next series of Rick and Morty with a band like that. Overall, I love the Sandman, man. It was such a relief because there's so many times when you get classic texts adapted to screen on like to TV and film, and they just don't get it right. Or worse still, a lot of times when they make these shows and movies, they get the creators involved, and the creators aren't good doing that type of thing. I mean, Stephen King's an obvious example. When he's tried to script write, he's not good at the script writing side of things and adaptation side of things as he is to actually writing the stories. And I mean, a good example, Preacher. I loved Preacher, Garth Ennis' Preacher. The Amazon show was a bit disappointing, but what was good is the people who worked on Preacher learnt from that, and now they're making The Boys. And The Boys is one of the best comic book TV shows out there as well. Although I think it's got a challenger at the minute. I would say I think Sandman is better than The Boys. I would say that. I definitely would say that right now.
Wow. Okay, that is a big. I would
a big
not
swing.
say that at the moment.
Would you not?
I think
Whoa.
no. I think you're maybe seeing Sandman through rose-tinted glasses because you love the comic book so much. So
yeah, but I haven't read them. I haven't read them for about 7 or 8 years.
But that could be one of the reasons why you love it, because you loved it so much, and it was like something that you'd done a few years back. So you've got like this really massive love for something imprinted into you.
That was my main kind of concern and worry, because for me the show's amazing. Like everything, I love everything about it. I love the structure and how it's got a really smart it's got a really smart way of adapting the different comic arcs into a 10-episode series on Netflix. But I did wonder, was it a bit too dense and abstract to be a big massive hit? You know, is it going to be one of these shows? Everyone like Foundation. Foundation's a perfect example. And again, we don't really have a way to track metrics of the streaming services, but other than what they tell us. You know, Foundation was, I think it was mine and Charlie Gallagher's show of the year last year. But it's a very dense, big world-building type of show that needs a lot of effort to watch. Not effort to watch. I think Sandman's an easier watch. I do think it's got the general entertainment aspect of it.
So Sandman feels more grounded than
Foundation.
Well,
yeah. I mean, that was a sci-fi, an epic sci-fi religious epic set over thousands of years.
Yeah.
And this is also set over, well, thousands of years, because obviously, and again, having read the comics, I'm not going to give away spoilers for stuff that happens later, but you get loads more of these brilliant standalone episodes where Dream will pop into, like, I don't know, I think there's one where he pops into ancient Greece and has a chat with some people, and you're like, oh shit, that's someone famous from ancient Greece. And he did what he did because of Dream, because he had a dream about it, because Dream influenced him that way. And the same thing with the nightmare side of things. That's kind of what I mean when I say he's not even really the main character in his own show. It's more like he's a construct for Gaiman to be able to tell all these stories about classical literature and things he wants to talk about, and he's used the Sandman as this framework to do it with, but he's done it quite beautifully. And thankfully, having Gaiman work on the show, helping adapt it, has really paid off here. So now, confirmed season 2, you utter bastards, because I've figured it out from how many graphic novels are, and I think you can get 4 more seasons out of the original comic book issue. So 4 more seasons, 40 more hours of the Sandman, please. Put it in my veins now, you utter bastards, or we'll send round the Corinthian. Okay? Beautiful. And for me, David, this is one of my favourite shows of the year. It's up there with Severance, definitely. And this gets a 10 out of 10 from me.
Nice. Because I haven't finished it yet, it's hard to give a proper ranking. But at the moment, it's like a solid 8 out of 10 for me. I am really enjoying it, and we're gonna finish it pretty soon. But yeah, a solid 8 out of 10 at the moment. See how it goes with the last 5 episodes. One thing I will say is though, I don't understand why it's an 18.
Well, I mean, we can't really get into specifics without giving away major spoilers. But, you know, there's bits where things explode out of people. I think it's thematically.
I feel like that's all
well.
15 territory, though. Like, I don't. We've mentioned this in the previous podcast. I don't understand what the rating system is. Like, what classifies an 18 and a 15 these days? Because
I do, David. It is how much money the studio pays the BBFC.
Okay, interesting. Nice.
Right, well, that's all the time we got for this episode today. As always, if you enjoy the episodes, give us a 5-star review on your podcast platform of choice. Interact with us on Twitter, because we're always throwing questions out on there. And we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
We needed roads.